What you're watching right now is the last page of issue 5, and that being page 24, the conclusion of this issue. If you've been following along on my social media, you know that I finished up back on Monday of last week. This coming on Monday the 24th, and I'm questioning that because I'm recording this a couple days early, so it can actually be out before time. So it's 25th now. I haven't been able to get back to work on it yet this week. Wednesday I was able to get a couple details nailed down for a possible trade that's going to be happening. Still debating if I want to work on getting a trade together or not. It's kind of up in the air at the moment, but I think I'm going to, even if it only just collapses issues 1 through 4, just because I was listening to an interview the other day, and some dude was talking about how most people come to conventions with probably $100 in their pockets, and with 4 issues at $10 a pop, it's kind of hard to ask people for almost nearly half of that. Especially when I make it to cons, I'll be having 5 issues under my belt, printed in at least, so that's asking for half of it. If I do a trade, I'm going to try and get it as cheap as possible. I'm probably looking at about $15 probably closer to 10, but if I can sell them for 15, that if I have issue 5 too, that's 25, that's a fourth, so I feel a lot better about asking for that than 40 or 50, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do it alongside the 5th issue's Kickstarter. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how I want to do it. I think I'm going to get the trades printed at the same time. That'll save me the binding cost and the print setup fees and whatnot. So that's what the tentative plans are for right now. I haven't been able to work on it because I've been helping out with friends with various things. Like I said last Wednesday, I was able to work on getting some plans worked out just because I didn't have the issues on me. So I got done with the inking on Monday. It took all of Tuesday to get these last pages scanned in. So that's another note. If you're getting into comics, know that the process of making it is just as important as getting them done up, which means you're gonna spend a day on the computer doing each stage of the process, like scanning them in. If I had a bigger scanner that I could just do them in one pieces, probably be a lot easier, a lot quicker, but I don't, so I have to resort to doing multiple scans of one page and then stitching them together, and that's kind of where the time sunk came in, just because I was having to rescan each page probably 3-4 times just to get it to stitch right, which just completely drained my battery. Working on everything and then it not working out, and then having to go back and doing it all over again and all over again and all over again. Just a huge pain in the neck. I did happen to get it all scanned in. I did get my notebooks scanned in for when I post them to the website for the webcomic. So I'm excited that I'm that far ahead. And then took some time getting them printed, just because my ink was out on my printer, so I had to go out, get new ink. The few pages I did get printed didn't look well because the black was dying, so I had to reprint them. All this whole process took probably a couple hours added on it. I think I got to bed about midnight, because I had to get up the next morning and go house sit for a friend. They were going to be gone for a few days, so they asked me if I could feed their cats, and I obliged because I'm that kind of friend that you can count on for helping out when you're in clutch situations. So by the grace of my good spirit, I can do that for friends. I was able to catch a few movies. I saw Ex Machina again, which if you haven't, I highly suggest you do that because it's such a fantastically eerie and not necessarily scary, but it's every AI movie that I ever wanted come to truth, and that's frightening because it's the whole premise is just wild to the farthest extent. I was also able to catch The Hateful Eight, which was awesome. I highly suggest catching that too if you haven't. And then when I got back from the theater, while I was working on plans for trade and whatnot, I watched Constantine, which was awesome. If you haven't by this time, I suggest you doing it. Keanu's just a favorite actor of mine, so I love his movies. And then the next day, I think I caught yet another movie. Let me think. Oh, the other freaky thing about Ex Machina is because you have the two characters from Force Awakens, but their roles are kind of reversed, so it just throws you for a loop. It's so wild to think that movie came before or after Force Awakens, but like their roles being reversed and the other one being in power to the other. So if you've seen Force Awakens, I definitely suggest you see Ex Machina because it's just a wild ride. Oh, and then the other movie I caught was Gambler with Mark Wahlberg. Came out last year, which was a good movie. I dug it. It's got John Goodman and a few other actors. Just an awesome movie. So, what else has been going on? I also used this weekend to help my brother move yet again. I know you're asking, didn't you just move back in September, which was about day 50 or so? For the second run of 100 days? You asked? Yes, it's true. But he actually bought a house, so I won't be helping him move anymore after this, hopefully. At least for 10 years, anyway. That's why these are being recorded a few days early, so I can get them posted and uploaded, so I don't have to worry about them when I get back from helping my brother. But I did want to talk about a few things for sure. On Friday, I left kind of a cryptic message on my Facebook about stepping up to the plate and looking to make a home run, and that is regards to what I did extraordinarily this week. I've been thinking about doing this, and you know what? I was like, I might not get this opportunity to do this again. What if the world collapses at some point this year and I'm just not able to do it? So I took a chance, and I've submitted my third issue of my series, I Never Forgot, to the Eisner Awards. They're in Comic-Con. I figured, what the hell? It's worth a shot. I heard a great quote, and this kind of prompted me to do it. Was, if you're offered a seat on a rocket ship, don't argue about the seat, just get on. And I felt like doing it. So I took 6 issues, put them in, bagged and boarded them, sent them with a cover letter out to the Eisner Awards, and I don't expect to be winning. I think if there's any possible slightest, narrowest of a chance for me winning, well, it's better than not taking a chance at it. So that's what I'm doing with that. That's what that message was about, and I feel good about taking that little extra chance, which still is kind of very nerve-wracking to me. So along with everything else, this week I'll start coloring issue 5. I'm going to be recording a few pages so I can do these updates with those But let me know down below if you're liking this style where I'm actually working on stuff, showing you doing that, and then talking about the whole process and whatnot. On this particular page, I love the sound effects of that guy screaming. I think that just turned out super awesome. This is the actual introduction of the fourth character, Wrath. He is kicking off the third storyline in this whole series. So you have Zeke and V's storyline. You now have Donnie's, which you visited earlier in this issue, particularly, where he was trying on a suit at a formal wear store, and now finally you have Wrath's storyline. Earlier in the issue, it showed Wrath breaking out of prison and whatnot, and it's kind of ambiguously done. It could be either like back in the day when this whole epidemic started, or it could be the previous scene to this whole scenario. I'm kind of just leaving that up to the reader's interpretation. Either one works, so I'm not really justifying whether to say which one it was. Probably when I post it on a website, I will say which one I'm kind of leaning towards it being. I don't know if I'll even do that, but I do love this last page. When you get issue 5, you'll notice, I'm posting the penciled pages on my Patreon right now. Once I get to page 24, I'm actually going to go back and be posting the spreads of page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then every other day for that. So if you are following me on Patreon, you've seen all these penciled pages up to this point. I'm pretty excited to share the spreads. If you notice, the thumbnail had the spread of the previous page, page 23, and then this page together with the inks. 23 is going to look a lot differently. It does have lettering to go along with it, but along with that you'll have a fade transition from that black to the white. It's kind of hard to describe and tell that via it just being on the page, but hopefully I nail that transition and it just looks killer. So there are other slight differences that I'm going to be sharing once I get into the coloring process about a few of the pages, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself right now. I am loving how this page came together, especially it seems like the square off between Wrath and you have Leon driving the Jeep. Leon is the last one who knows what Wrath is. Wrath being from Project Wrath, he was the only zombie that had attacked another zombie, and that would bring on his red coloration. They wanted to make a stronger and smarter zombie, and that's how they influenced it to attack another zombie. I don't think I'm going to mention too much of that in the story, so I was thinking about doing a one-off of how the army did that to make Wrath, but as far as I know, I'm just going to leave it to the writing on these couple pages, I guess, for now. Maybe I'll do the one-off with Wrath down the line, but he's not the main focus just yet. He will be popping in and out of the storyline from here on out. A little bit in the love arc, but it'll definitely be a culmination of the 3 storylines when it gets to like issue 10. 10, 11, 12, 13 are going to be this culmination, and where all the 3 storylines intersect and kind of slam into each other in more than one way. So I am loving the look of issue 5, especially when you look at the bristle pages. It's kind of hard to see what they look side to side. now that I have them printed out and looking at the coloring designs and whatnot. It's a lot easier to tell what they look like, what they're going to look like inside the book. So I'm super excited about the whole issue 5. Each issue has culminated to a point where it gets me excited about doing the next issue, and I don't see many artists like commenting on that, but I can't tell you how excited I am to get to work on issue 6, just because this one's turning out so awesome. So yeah, everything's going well. I'm looking forward to getting the coloring done for issue 5, just so that means I can move on to issue 6. With everything going on for the Kickstarter for issue 5, along with putting the trade together for that Kickstarter, more than likely, I'll probably be a good percentage into issue 6, at least for the roughs. When that Kickstarter finally kicks off. I was also approached about doing a magazine article for a website yesterday, which is pretty awesome. I had been talking to the guys early November when I was working on issue 4, because one of the scenes in the books, I used a reference from a lady spinning in one of their YouTube videos, taking off a shirt, and I basically replicated it in the comic, and showed them that I used her for reference, and they were kind of blown away with it. And I guess they took off a few months off because I haven't seen anything posted from them, but I think now that it's leaning towards getting into the springtime and summertime, they're ramping up production and whatnot. So it'd be awesome if that article came out near the Kickstarter of the 5th one. It could only bolster the attention for it, and considering how much fun I'm having with 5, I think it's going to be a really credible issue, especially if it can get the backing and support that the other issues have had, especially since this is far and beyond. Everything is getting better as I go along, and this is no different, so I'm very excited to see what that holds. When you see the inked pages side by side, you'll notice the last half of the issue as well. The focus shifts from the left side of the spread. When you flip open the page, flip the next page, it focuses to the right side. So your eyes are always dodging. It's just something I picked up that I wanted to do for this issue. Considering how chaotic this entire issue is, because you have the introduction of Donnie, you have the introduction of Wrath as well, and then you have Zeke and V setting out on their own too. So I just wanted to do something special for this issue. I'm not sure if I'll stick with that design choice, but as far as I know, it's working well for this issue for sure. The next one's going to be pretty much a doozy. If you're following along the 100s Facebook group, we were talking about what makes you want to write this story and whatnot. And I basically said that it's just a story I haven't seen that I wanted to tell. It's kind of my own story, and there's a lot of things from my own life that I'm putting into these pages. So where it leads, I think that's going to be a lot easier to sort out once it nears the end. But yeah, I think putting these life experiences and like taking from my own emotions and stories, like issue 6 is definitely going to be a doozy for me, because everything that's going to be going into that issue, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's going to be a pretty emotionally draining episode for sure. Issue, sorry about that. So I'm gonna leave you with this now. I'm just finishing up the page. Look how awesome that looks. I like this little picture of you getting a headshot of Wrath, and then you get this shot of Leon looking behind him in the mirror, and then it's split by Leon seeing Wrath in the rearview mirror, and then tipping it to see him bite the other guy. So I don't know, I just fell in love with this page for sure. I love that this is the way issue 5 ends, and I'm glad for you guys being along for the ride. Any questions, comments, put them down below. All links below. There's a few new hundreds posts. I know Gaz has a new update. Yanimo's been updating regularly. Also, a couple cool ones from Kevin Cross as well. Check out all those links down below. Again, I can't thank you enough for coming here, checking out my videos and whatnot. And I'll catch you next week for the next update of I Never Forgot My comic series. And you can purchase the issues down below if you so wish. Thanks.